we have been here before. We have even assaulted these streets ourselves. We know its weaknesses and where its strengths lie. Follow this up with our brilliant army composition, perfect for defensive battles. This upcoming engagement is undoubtedly in our favor. We will use these pikes of ours to block every street from the side the Parthavans approach. It immediately turned out to be a smart ploy, as the horse lords chose their first wave of attack should be led by their cavalry. Obviously we were happy about that, mostly due to our pikes being a perfect counter, but also as it allowed us to send out units to flank around. As more and more hostiles tunneled into the chokes, Junior ordered his Ethiopian archers to seize the high ground and rain hellfire down upon the tightly packed enemy forces. Due to our successful flanking maneuver, we could now send our swordsmen outside the town to block off the path for the Parthavans. With the assistance of Junior himself, who hunted down their skirmishers, we secured the town. After having won the day, we executed the first Parthavan commander. However, being the coward that he now was, the second fled back to their walled settlement. Down near our southern frontier, Philopater used his scouts to secure the nearby land from possible ambushes, or overwhelming numbers. All we found was a few Mauryan armies starving in the scorching sun, a great sign that allowed us to approach the walls of Persepolis without fearing of a counterattack. In theory, this meant we would have loads of siege equipment for when we inevitably scaled the walls. Junior too was eager to continue his campaign, taking advantage of his new night battle scheme to take out the forces who escaped the attack on Dragai, so he too could besiege the town in peace. However, fearing this second Persian kingdom with an army within our lands possibly could attack us, we sent Aristophanes and his Alexandros Syria legion to the iron mines and guarded. The Carthaginian expedition into Cisalpine had received the perfect start. Genoa was occupied and no Romans were in a position to counterattack. That was so until our scouts discovered the two Roman legions scavenging their terrain during this winter. It was only a matter of time before they arrived to attack again. I just hope the Carthaginian reinforcements catches up in time. At this point in time, we couldn't do it. No, we had more concerning tasks at hand in the north. The Britons were in a highly threatening position, and all we could do was assassinate their war maidens, and with the Lusitani still lingering at our border, we had to react. Thus, at Narbo, we sacrificed another part of our logistical network and income to muster a new legion at this settlement. Obviously, it would be given the same name as the town it was gathering at. At long last, we had come into contact with the easternmost Greeks. We haven't spoken to them in years, but now we are practically bordering the Bactrians. Furthermore, we have common enemies in terms of Mauria and Parthava. Seeing this as a perfect way to secure our eastern flank once our foes were vanquished, we signed a crucial defensive alliance act, along with military access and a massive sum of gold as compensation for our time. Of course, we used this gold to further develop our eastern provinces, as we could pretty much confirm their safety by now. Due to our diplomatic agreements, we now had full visibility over the eastern lands. Bactria was clearly a formidable ally, multiple strong armies and several walled settlements along with a stunning economy. And as we took Hecatomopolis with our two armies, we can now take advantage of that said economy by getting favorable trades with them and as the city was taken, it was clear 3 armies plus an outstanding ally is a bit overkill for this crumbling empire. We started sending some of our armies back to Anatolia in preparations for our confrontation with Pergamon and their league of allies. It turns out Carthage has received an unexpected ally too. In the middle of their siege of Medlan, an army of Germanic warriors emerged from the Alps. Apparently this tribe was quite powerful on the field, and with a burning hatred for the Romans. In fact, they were even the ones to claim the town after the Carthaginians had sacked it. We would also advance, this time taking Persepolis, and thus yet another wonder. It was a stunning necropolis that through our massive treasury can reach its full potential. Sadly, our army was battered and we couldn't attack. And we couldn't actually continue our advance just yet. But Junior could, who by now will threaten the Parthavans from the north. Another interesting development was in Armenia. For the longest time we thought Haik was gone, a relic of the past. Yet here they are. Apparently they were in such a vulnerable state they accepted to become a client state. But we are not so dumb to blindly support a struggling minor faction. Of course we are supporting both sides of the struggle. Let them fight amongst themselves and may the victor be rewarded with unimaginable wealth. Not long after, the Romans surprisingly attacked Alalia, our naval base in the Agates. It was obviously repelled as the Romans had no skill when it comes to naval engagements. Up in Gaul, we were finally closing in on the Britons. Originally, the plan was to deal with the Belgae traitors who sided with the island nation. But on second thoughts, as we realized the Iceni were gathering a substantial force on the mainland, we switched our target to them by sending the pharaoh himself back from the island to help pincer the port. Sadly, it appears the Carthaginian offense has been halted, with the Sophed losing most of his army while trying to enter Latium. The same happened in the south, where they barely made a dent. To be fair, they did relaunch an attack on Syracuse in an attempt to secure all of Sicily. We did want to help in that assault, but our Achilles fleet was all out of supplies and had to return to Carthage for a refill. Once Junior had gathered enough momentum to reach the last Parthavan stronghold, he rapidly bruised the enemy commander outside the town before conquering the main settlement itself afterwards. By taking this, we acquired the easternmost wonder in the known world. The Bam Citadel gives us exactly what we require. Lately, banditry has become a minor issue, which this helps with, albeit only being in this province. But more importantly is the fact that it gives us way better army replenishment. This is obviously crucial due to all the casualties we have sustained. It was definitely needed as our plan to pincer the Iceni port was far from executed well. Not only did the pharaoh land on the wrong side of the river, which thus protected the town from him and his reinforcements, but worse is the fact that the Second Legion didn't hear of this and thus marched too close to the town, and once they inevitably attacked, he took up the challenge in the false belief of his ruler coming to his aid. You all know the formation by now, just the standard but with a slight twist in terms of our Gallic cavalry in a tiny forest. As the enemy attacked us in 2 waves, we thrashed the first army without issue. The fact that they did this gave us a major advantage. Basically, we performed the defeat in detail without moving a muscle. To make it even more humorous, the second army was even worse than the first one, meaning we had pushed over the most powerful Britannic army with a single insignificant legion with an even less significant commander. Overall, it was an outstanding heroic victory. The following turn it led to us taking the town without much trouble due to us having all our armies there. Through this we even reached the highest Imperium, meaning we can now field the highest amount of armies possible. And to the surprise of many, the casualties were so low we could still continue our advance on the Belgae, who lived further northeast of the location. At Sicily, the Carthaginians failed to capture Syracuse, a tragedy as we ideally wanted them to own all of the island. However, the garrison of the city was finally weak, and as their former occupants were Greeks, I felt it is justified that we tried to claim the town with our Achilles fleet from the sea. Imagine trying to attack a city like Syracuse from land just to repel at the walls, when it is far easier to just sail into their port and make landfall from there. We did have to endure the barrages from the artillery mounted on the walls, but with our massive armada and the fact that we have installed scorpions on the front of each ship, this meant that we eventually could demolish their ballistae from afar. The harbor itself was rather narrow, almost acting as a choke point for the Romans. It took away our size advantage and forced us to land with no more than 3 ships at a time. Luckily, this wouldn't discourage us as we faced the Roman defenses head on. After having secured a foothold inside the port, the main Roman garrison arrived. It is at moments like this our many drills will have to prove their worth. After realizing this endless struggle didn't get us anywhere, one leading Polemarch came up with an idea. He would spread out his reserves and then retreat with all his engaged units, luring most of the Roman garrison away from their choke point and into the harbor itself, where we then could use our size and outflank the enemies. With our maneuver successfully executed, we gained full access to the city itself. Whatever men they had left tried to flee into the countryside, and the ones who didn't met the cold side of our blades. In the aftermath of this amphibious assault, the Achilles fleet liberated the town, letting the Greek state rule independently once again. We did try to bribe them into becoming yet another client state of ours, but their opinion of such a decision wasn't great. So be it. We will let them deal with the other Romans for a bit and see if they change their minds. The two Ptolemies kept up their intensive pressure on the Mauryans and their last few settlements. We even managed to defeat their last major army, completely isolating Hermosea, which we intended to make our easternmost fortress. We quickly laid siege to it while waiting for them both to link up and conquer it together. The only remaining problem is the fact that the Romans have mustered a massive counterattack in Cisalpine. The sway boss will soon be kicked out if we don't do anything soon. By blockading Taras, perhaps we can draw some of the attention away from the northern front. The Pharaoh was on his way back to the British Isles after his useless pincer maneuver in northern Gaul. He had to be fast though, as the hostile army is already on its way. If only he will have as much success as our Gallic legion, which coerced the Mauryani tribe to become a satrap of us, and thereby taking away all Iceni influence on the mainland. We are not far off our goal of acquiring all the wonders in the world. We just need to get a bit further.